There is no escape. Don't make me destroy you. Gabe, you have not realized your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the podcasting galaxy.
I'll never join you.
If only you knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your co-host.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your co-host.
No, that's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
No.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
You can't handle the truth. King Kong ain't got shit on me. I am the Lord Revelation.
I am so much crazier than you.
I am the one who knocks.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Nice thing, big boy, huh? That's bright. Fucking
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful.
Welcome to Facing Off, a podcast where we take two movies that we find to be similar and we compare, contrast, and rate them. I am one of your hosts, Gabe.
And I am one of your other hosts. Oh, I can actually say that on this one because there's two of us.
That's true.
Kane is here.
Yeah, and so let us introduce Kane Holloway.
Hello.
Best comedian this side of the Mississippi. Sorry,
Ooh.
Kelsey.
Burn.
And so Kane Holloway is one of the hosts of the Well Actually podcast, something I've frequented.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, hello, everyone. I love the color red. I enjoy Disneyland up to a point.
Okay. What's the point?
The Toontown. I
Yeah.
mean, who fucking needs it anymore,
Yeah, I
really?
agree.
Yeah.
And then I would say Star Wars Land is pretty awesome, except for that Millennium Falcon ride. Complete horseshit. You stand in line for like 6 hours.
I want to go to Galaxy's Edge. I haven't been there yet.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
What color milk did you get?
I didn't get any milk. We didn't go to the cantina. I thought we went
Do
to the
they have
cantina.
blue milk there?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I think they have a drink.
Order milk at like a
They have a
bar.
drink that's blue. Yeah, you get to walk up to like a space sea lion and you press its little reptile nipple and green milk comes out.
Are you for real?
He's
No.
messing with
Oh,
you.
God.
It's a bad
I mean,
part that we'll get to.
That's the best part of the movie, I
No.
think.
Oh, God.
Every single thing that Luke does is it's so slapstick. You gotta love it.
No.
You
We
gotta love it.
don't. We'll get to that in a little bit.
You don't have to. love it.
In this episode, we're going to be doing two Star Wars movies. We're doing The Empire Strikes Back versus The Last Jedi. Before we
Yeah.
get into that, couple disclaimers, because we've got to say this. We're not movie experts, and we don't claim to be movie experts. This
No.
is just our opinions, and we are open to all opinions. Especially, I am open to opinions. I
Are
know I
you?
might yell about it a little bit.
You
but
do. You know, I listened to the show. Great show,
Thank
by
you.
the way. You guys, and I'm not saying that just because you're my friend, Nick. You're now a new friend of mine.
Thank you.
It's a very good show. But you don't do your Gabe Siegel yelling. You don't
Yeah, I'm a
scream
little
and holler
calm.
at
Well, it's
people.
because I'm there.
yeah.
If it was anybody else, I feel like you just yell at them.
That's true. I am a little bit more calm with Nick. I don't know. I guess because it's my, a podcast I'm doing with Nick, I don't want to come off in the angry way that I
Sure.
normally am. You
need to
to
bring
that don't know
people
me.
in first. This is how my dad operates. You bring people in first, then you yell at
Yeah,
them.
and then you.
and then you trap them. Now they have nowhere else to go. This is the podcast they go to
yes.
for their movie opinions and what they should
Right.
and should not watch.
So this is step one is complete. Now I just have to move on to what you just said.
Now you
Yeah.
can start screaming at me.
Screaming
Yeah.
and hollering.
Nick, shut up.
Yeah. Telling Nick he's no good.
The other disclaimer that we have is that we're going to spoil these movies. So if you
What?
haven't seen Empire Strikes Back, shame on you. I do respect your opinion. I don't respect you as
Oh.
person. And
Start with
then-
the shame, backtrack to the respect.
And this
That's
is
how it
perfect
goes.
timing because Disney Plus just launched, and you can go and watch The Empire Strikes Back there, and then
Free trial.
yeah.
You
Oh
got-
yeah, you could do that just
Yeah.
for this.
You got 7
and then-
days. How much can you fit in?
You're gonna die in 7 days. And then The Last Jedi is on Netflix, so please go watch that if you don't want those to be spoiled. That being said, Nicholas, Let's hear a synopsis.
Yes, so these two middle child Star Wars films share as many similarities as there are salt critters on crate. Yep, they're salt critters. That's what they are.
Sparkly.
Yep, they're sparkly little boxes or whatever. Both movies involve the sneaky evacuation of fortified rebel bases. Both films involve the blink of an eye training of a young upstart Jedi by an old weird hermit. Both movies include ultimatums from the primary antagonist to the primary protagonist. They both say join or die, basically. Both paint Luke Skywalker as a whiny little man boy. Leia is force sensitive in both of these, and she's in charge of shit. And both movies introduce us to several new toys. I mean, alien creatures.
Yeah. Thank you, Disney, for taking over the entire world.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back is. I was watching it and I was like, oh yeah, Tauntauns, Yeti guy.
The robot that I had, the robot that takes care of Luke when he needs the heal.
Like, oh
in
man,
that
look at all
room.
these little toys.
Like, yeah. I had that
But then,
because my brother had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Last Jedi just takes that to another level and they just like porg it up.
Yeah.
Do you know why the porgs are there though?
It's because
Yes,
there's like
'cause
puffins,
puffins.
there. Yeah. Which I still think is like, just keep the puffins there. Like, you don't need to make porgs afterwards. It's not like the puffins came up to them.
Puffins aren't aliens, they're birds.
yeah,
but,
people
like,
are going
just
to be
have
like, why are
birds in
there
the background.
puffins in there? That's
but
not.
they could just be birds in the
That's
background.
not alien enough. You got to know how
That's true, that's true.
the populace, especially however the world is like, hey, if there's puffins up there, then my immersion into this film is complete shit.
All right, you've sold me.
All right, so people who like The Last Jedi like it specifically
Who are
because
you?
the porgs are there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, I know people were really excited for that
Yeah.
reason. Cool. Thank you for the synopsis. You know,
You're welcome.
you could just hear why we're comparing based on that.
Yeah, they're the
good
middle
merging.
children.
I do think like a big connection between these two is that it has stubborn and arrogant as fuck Luke Skywalker, as if the Return of the Jedi like never happened, where he's so cool and like calm in that.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah.
is so annoying as an old man. It reminded me so much of his training with Yoda.
I've never understood why people were so upset that old Luke is the way he is. Like people are like, this isn't my Luke Skywalker, and even
Right.
Mark Hamill during like
He honestly is
interviews during the release of the movie was like, this isn't my Luke Skywalker. Let's just reiterate something. Luke Skywalker
Is a bitch.
He
He's
is
a
such-
whiny little man baby.
He is the worst character.
I am so happy about this.
This stupid fuck. He gets attacked, and then Obi-Wan is
Yep.
like, go to the Dagobah system.
He says
Cool, I'll-
Dagobah, and then Luke's bitch ass keeps saying the Dagobah. I got to go to the Dagobah station
That's
system
his
because that's what he
Tatooine
said.
accent, dude. Come on.
Maybe it's his
let's-
lazy, arrogant
Go to the
accent.
Dagobah
Yeah,
system.
let's be sensitive to those to people with
The
Tatooine.
Tatooinists?
Yeah.
Tatooinean accent.
Tatooinian.
But
yeah.
then he goes to see Yoda. He finds out that this dude is, and the whole time he's like, we're wasting time.
Oh, yeah.
We were wasting
That's so
time.
true.
And Yoda's
You
like,
want me to do the impossible. And then Yoda's like, what the fuck you talking about, dude? I'm about to lift this ship like on my own. I'm a
Don't-
frail little gremlin.
don't go in there with your weapons, and then immediately hooks his ammo belt
Yeah.
to his.
Right.
Okay, so what are you doing there?
Yeah.
What is the point
Wait, can
if
I
you're not
ask-
going to listen to
Dude,
anybody?
Obi-Wan's basically just like, he's gonna hand your ass to you, though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm still gonna go fire up the converters, R2, and then R2's
yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah,
Bummer.
He is so annoying. So we'll get to that in a little bit when we get into our categories. So let's just move on into the categories.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, our rating system is a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being highest, 1 being lowest, 4 being average or neutral in between. And our categories, we normally do 5 categories. We are going to go back to our original categories.
The Cinco.
Yep. So that will be eye candy, actoring, spectacularity, originality, and legacy. Boys, are you ready to start?
Yeah.
Let us start with eye candy.
Ooh.
And we will start with Empire Strikes Back. So eye candy is all the visual categories. So, you know, best cinematography, CGI, production design.
Right.
Anything
Did you
visual,
say
costumes,
makeup, all the things that your eyes are seeing. With
you
your eyes.
are. Nick, why don't you... Actually, Kane, why don't you start us off?
Oh, sure.
And we'll go to Nick.
I gave it a 7.
Ooh, okay.
This is mostly for Yoda.
Got it.
Yeah,
Everything you like initially, you're like, that's a puppet.
Yeah.
But then everything Yoda does is Frank Oz is
Great.
some sort of angel
Yeah.
brought upon this world to make us believe that puppets are actual things. And Yoda crouched down.
He's a real boy.
rummaging through Luke's shit with his his ass in the air.
Amazing comedy from Yoda.
Oh, fist fighting
Like,
with
this is like a really, really wise old creature. His comedic timing was incredible.
right.
Well, he's had 700 years to practice his comedic
That's
timing.
true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, I like that the HUD is super small.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because he's probably the only person with the ability to think like a human being or whatever. Like
Yeah.
everything else just seems to be an animal.
Right.
So they're the only two life forms that can make decisions.
Right.
On Dagobah.
Yeah, on the Dagobah.
So,
Dagobah.
Dagobah? Dagobah?
Cloud City is
Yeah.
incredible to look at.
Crazy cool visuals.
Hoth
with that.
is a beautiful snowy white.
Yeah.
Then the juxtaposition of the red laser beams
Oh, yeah. On
firing, on Hoth
look
is
cool.
really great. Anything that happens in space, I think the only thing that's a little tough to look at, but still I gave it a 7 because there's a shit ton of practical effects that happen in the movie.
This is in 1980.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
when they're in the asteroid
Yeah.
and they're inside that thing,
Right.
It's a little fuzzy to look at, and there's nothing too striking
Yeah.
about it. But that's really the only moment, and I wouldn't.
And
down
then
it
it's
for that.
cool when they escape from that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't.
And the worm comes in.
Yeah.
So I gave
I
it
don't
a
understand like how that worm exists there. It takes up
You don't
most
need
of the
to
planet.
understand.
Okay, yeah.
right.
You need
yeah.
to be a giant worm to understand. how
That's
it
true.
lives there.
That's true. I just wanted some perspective.
Obviously.
Okay, that's good. You got any other like visual things you want to shout out? Like something that really solidifies why it's a perfect 7 out of 7 for you?
Well, they change up the way everyone dresses. Everyone seems to be a little more confident in themselves, and their outfits reflect that. Han's dope ass jacket that he rocks
Yeah.
in that
So
most of
cool.
the
He's
time.
got like a double-breasted shirt. I
Oh, yeah,
noticed, like
that's
just
right.
like his normal shirt is
Right.
double-breasted, and I was
Yeah,
like, "That's
interesting.
cool."
And Lando is
Lot of pockets.
draped in all blue, and it's a really striking.
Yeah.
It's like blue and brown. It's like a really cool. It's kind of like the Denver Broncos.
It is like,
A
yeah.
little lighter, but yeah, his costume is awesome.
Yeah, his like
Lando's so fucking cool.
Yeah, Lando's dope, and then his like robot butler boy that
Oh, yeah.
with the half
Yeah.
moon.
I had him
thing.
as an action figure as well.
They just look at each other. They have a lot of like eye
yeah.
looks in that. I'm like,
It's
I
like
don't
this
know.
bitch, and then the robot's like, "Yeah, sir,
Yeah.
this bitch."
So I would say a lot of painstaking time and effort went into making this movie look visually stunning.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was ahead of its time. Nick, what did you give it, and why?
I gave it a 6.
Ooh.
I don't think it's perfect, but I mean, obviously for the time, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy holds up. I also never know, just as not an aside, I guess this makes perfect sense. Every time I watch any Star Wars movie, like the old ones, I'm always like, is this the remastered one?
Yeah, you
Did they
can't really
add
tell.
that? I don't even know what I'm watching anymore,
Right.
which is like whatever. The only thing, I echo everything Kane said, for sure, but then the one thing that makes it not a 7, I just want to highlight this one little scene that I just laughed out loud at yesterday when I rewatched this. There's like I don't know when it is, but a TIE fighter kind of zooms by and like blasts something, and then like it's almost like an afterthought that there's this tiny little explosion on the top of something, and it's just like everything flies away, and then it's just this like
Yeah, I know.
I have to find it, but I laughed out loud because I was like, what even shot that? Where
Yeah.
did that come from?
Yeah.
It's just like there's little things like that, but I mean the movie's made in what
1980?
1980?
Yeah.
Like it holds up for being a movie made in 1980. The
I agree.
costuming is really great.
Yeah.
I like that you said that they're all more confident in their costumes really do reflect that.
That is a good point.
That's a great point.
And I would also say too, what maintains it at 7 for me is this one is the one that George Lucas fucked with the least.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Really?
like in
That's
Cloud
why
City.
people like it the most.
Yeah, in Cloud City, there's some early or late '90s, early 2000s CGI shit
That
that
he put
happens,
in, yeah.
but it's only to expand what Cloud City, what he wanted Cloud City to be,
Right,
without
like-
having the
I see.
technology
Yeah.
back then.
Right.
So I think that's the only
Yeah.
the only fuckery with it. Whereas like A New Hope gets fucked with.
Yep.
It gets dismantled and put
Yeah.
back together, and it's just garbage now.
Yep.
Yeah, this is my favorite. Empire is my favorite
Star Wars?
movie.
Same.
And a lot of the reason is you get to see a lot more of the inner like workings of things. Like,
Yeah,
you get to
it's
see
good
Darth
world
Vader's
building.
little like chamber.
Yeah, that weird like dome that he meditates in.
Yeah,
It's so
really
cool.
looking. Just lots of cool stuff in Empire.
So that was a 6 out of 7. I am also giving it a 6 out of
Okay.
7. I do think it's outdated in some ways, and that's not really like a really
Yeah,
fair
what are you gonna
assessment,
do?
but it's just tough to rewatch in that way. There are like things that strike me as like not being great. Like the Tauntaun looks ridiculous.
Yeah, a little bit.
And the Yeti, like I don't like that they used to do this little like editing cut. Instead of like showing you the violence or the action, they would like edit away from it, and then when Luke slices off the Yeti's arm. But like honestly, none of this really like takes away from the movie. It's just something I noticed, so I can't give it a 7. I do think that there were some really, really cool overhead shots of Hoth. Like the next morning when they're searching for Han
Yeah,
and
that's a
Luke.
great scene.
Really well filmed.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they made it 40 years ago, honestly, with how well they filmed certain parts. I do enjoy the little like editing transitions that Star Wars movies are really famous for. There are other movies like we just did Dude, Where's My Car? And they like kind of did Star Wars editing transitions. It just doesn't work. But it really worked for this. The scenes I really want to point out visually, the whole battle on Hoth is so incredibly epic.
Yeah.
Even though AT-ATs or AT-ATs are like pretty useless because they can only shoot in one direction, it looks really cool when they're zapping people like the X-Wings out of the sky.
Yeah.
And I love when they use the harpoons to go around them. It's just really well filmed visually for that. I also like really, I love the whole escape that that Han, Leia, and Chewie have when they're inside that worm.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that in Spectacularity, that I think they kind of like mastered some like terror in that scene.
Yeah.
But it, like probably my favorite scene in the movie, like full scenes, are Luke's training. Like I loved watching Luke training with Yoda on his back and like flipping through the trees and then like
That bothered me.
Oh, I loved it. It's like it reminded me of the first
I'm
episode of
indifferent.
Dragon Ball Z when they're like learning how to like get strong by wearing those turtle shells. And then my favorite shot in the movie, it's very quick. It's right at the end when they need to when Luke is hanging off of that rafter in Cloud City, and they decide to take the Millennium Falcon and loop it back, and it shoots up through the clouds and like loops back. It is a beautiful shot. I would love to get a poster of that.
That
so
is
that's
great.
7 out of 7 from Kane, 6 out of 7 from both Nick and me. Let's talk about Last Jedi. Holy shit, I forgot that we hadn't talked about that yet. Eye candy for Last Jedi.
7.
Whoa.
It is
interesting.
so beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
It is probably one of the most visually stunning Star Wars movies since
I agree.
any of them. The red, the red, every red scene when they're on that fucking rebel base planet and it's all
called
white.
Crate.
Crate.
I Googled it before I got
yeah.
here.
Stupid crate.
I love the way they film that when the ships
yeah.
are like touching it a little bit because they have to like ski on
And
it.
she's like, put down the rudder. And he's
yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, that looks way more dope than before.
yeah,
Yeah, and
it
then-
looked way
Pilot.
cooler.
And then you cut over to when they blow the doors open, and it's now dragged. The dirt's like dug into the dirt, and there's these red lines
Yep.
that are now on top of black lines that are on top of red lines, and then you're watching people. You're watching the the First Order walk in, and it's such a beautiful shot. Everything that happens where Luke and Rey are. Beautifully shot. The rain scenes are really,
All the dog
really
fighting
great.
is great
Yeah.
in space.
Oh, I agree. The space fights, I think they're better than
Yeah.
that was something that was really done well in the prequels. That the space fights were like the only cool visual thing
Yeah.
in the prequels, and I think that this kind of outdid that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think The Last Jedi does.
Yeah, Last Jedi, I like everything. Pretty much the entire saving grace, if the movie has any, is the fact that it is wonderful to look at. Yeah. And the reds, the use of the color red, it seems very, very thought out.
Yeah.
Much more thought
like
out.
The throne room scene too. Yeah.
Way more thought out than the plot itself.
Couldn't agree more. I'm so excited to get into that.
Yeah. So it's like everyone, their costumes are great. They're not too much changed from like the Force Awakens.
Right.
There's no real difference in them.
No.
However, I still think that the way that this thing is supposed to invoke feelings out of you is mainly done by how pretty it is.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree. I gave it a 6, but I'm like, this is another one of the times where I'm like, well, why didn't I just give it a 7? Like, what is it?
I can explain. I don't know.
Why did you give it a 6 and not a 7?
Because I was really close to giving it a 7. I was sitting there like you were. I think here's my problem with it. Visually, it's spectacular. But there are things that Rian Johnson does in terms of the visuals and the filming that took me out of it being a Star Wars movie. It doesn't feel... There are certain scenes that don't feel like a Star Wars movie. Like the filming in Canto Bight are like when it's like zooming through all those people. It's just like... I don't need Star Wars movies to all look exactly the same. I don't think you need to copy the same things. That's kind of the faults that were apparent in The Force Awakens. But there's something about J.J. Abrams' like dedication to natural production design and filming it in a way that makes you almost return back to what it felt like to watch the original trilogy is something I admired. Whereas there were a lot of visual shots that were cool, but they like... didn't feel Star Wars. Like it just felt like its own separate thing.
Right.
Which I think that's okay. I just like, that's kind of what rubbed me the wrong way visually. Okay. And then, honestly, that's my whole point. I do think that like visually the last scene is just absolutely incredible. The way that they do the dust. I don't like anything that happens in Canto Bight. Or Blake.
Did you just say the way that they do the dust?
No, yeah, the way that they have like the red dust and stuff flying up is a really cool shot. And some of it does feel like a natural Star Wars movie, but there are like certain scenes where he just got too visually ridiculous that it just took me out of it being a Star Wars movie. And this exists within a trilogy. That would normally be fine if it's like Rogue One doesn't look like a Star Wars movie, but the point of Rogue One was it was supposed to feel like an offshoot of Star Wars. So you could do that. But like this exists within a trilogy. So it's just going to look way too weird when you go J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, because some of it because
I know why I gave it a 6 now. It's because of the alien nipples.
So,
but those are really well done alien nipples.
Yeah.
They are.
The milk that comes out is really well done.
Yeah.
There's something about it, the fact that they're nipples on an alien reptile sea monster thing that really rubs me the wrong way. And there's this there's this thing that Luke does that just doesn't lend itself well to a podcast, where he presses his fingers on the nipple in such a
popping of a pimple way.
It looks like he's popping a pimple, and you just know that he's done it before, and he's like, this is the best way to press the alien reptile sea lion's nipple to get the green milk to come out.
Right.
And then he swigs it, and he's like, that's fucking good green milk.
Well, yeah, and then he has it like all over his face, like he's Kevin Rose or my mom.
I'm gonna use that scene as the one thing that bumps this from a 7 to a 6 because it's just not okay that it's in the movie.
Yeah, I just like it was like almost like a goofy scene, like his like smug face.
Almost? It's not almost a goofy scene.
Everything there, I visually like. If I'm gonna talk about like costuming. Those nun caretakers, like what fucking movie did he think he was making when he put them in?
Yeah, those are great. I have to. What makes it a 7 for me, if I gotta say, and this is a Luke thing, his beard. What a beard!
Oh, it is a pretty good beard.
Spectacular, and the hair.
Yeah.
I love his. I love that he changes slightly when he's his own like astral project. Like
right,
holy
he's like,
shit! You know what? It's a 6 now. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I don't know why I forgot about that. I put it down.
Visual moment
6.
when he brushes his shoulder off.
Yep.
I said, fuck you,
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
What movie are you making?
I completely forgot about him coming back.
Did Jay-Z walk in and tell you how to redo the scene? Dude.
I just
so
remembered
bad.
his fucking brown goatee and brown hair.
I was like,
It's like, you are so vain.
His
we
Why?
His astral projection got a new haircut, a trimmed beard,
Yeah.
and it.
were we
and
supposed to believe that
dyed
he
his
was
hair.
actually there? Like, they made
Yeah.
him look different. And I was like, that's not him.
And I think it was supposed to make it
Not
look like
him.
it was supposed to evoke this feeling out of Ray. Hey, remember, this is the guy that you remember
Yeah.
who almost
Yeah.
took your life
Yeah.
from a fleeting moment of
Oh,
panic.
from Rilo.
Yeah.
Or Rilo.
Kylo?
Kylo Ren.
So
I
Kylo
thought
was
Rilo Kiley. Okay, sorry.
So Kylo was going to come down and fight him because this is the representation
Yeah.
of it. But he doesn't look that much
No.
different as an old. He's the same old man. So when you're watching the movie, you don't know that going in. I'll never forget it watching it in the theater going, did this? And I was watching with my sister and I leaned over to her and I'm like, so did he stop and get a haircut?
Yeah.
And a,
Yeah.
and a
What's the
dye
rest?
job before
Yeah.
he fucking rolled out here? Why does he look
Yes.
different?
I thought the
So
same
dumb.
thing.
It was so silly. So it got a 6 for me just from that because it took
Nice.
it
So
sucked
glad
me
you
out of
just
the
got
movie.
brought down to a 6.
Yeah.
That's
So there's
amazing. This
things
is-
in the movie that just bring me down. For me, it's the reptile nipples.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that's the visual problems that we have with it. Let's move on to acting right now. Acting is a category that Nick and I came up with that kind of encapsulates everything about the characters in the movie. So was the acting
Well, we
good?
try.
Yeah, we tried to.
It's the acting.
It's the
directing,
acting.
the writing. It's
Right.
basically are the actors good? Are they believable? And were they given the tools to give the performance that they did?
Yeah, perfectly said. Nick, why don't you start us off with The Last Jedi since we're already on it
The
for
LJ.
acting?
The LJ for acting. I give it a 5. I don't have any
Above average, slightly
Yeah, it's
above.
above average. I don't have any like major problems with it. I don't think that anyone's gonna no one's gonna win any awards for this movie. But
Right.
I thought it was all good. One of the things. Okay, so Snoke is. I always want to say Snope, like Snopes, the website.
Oh, yeah.
Snoke that's Andy Serkis.
Government secrets.
Right?
And stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great in this.
Yeah, he is. He's always good. I mean,
He's
so
always
at it.
good. But when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, he's genuinely really good. I wish that he
Yeah.
didn't fucking die.
I love when he's...
Even though it's cool, it's a cool scene. It's
You
actually
just
like the best
really
scene in the
wanted
movie.
to see Hugh Hefner as an aging,
Yeah.
decrepit
He's-
alien.
He's
supremely
definitely just he's a highlight for me
Yeah.
for sure in terms of the acting.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, Kane, what about you?
I also gave it a 5,
Interesting.
but I kind of want to give it a 4 for,
Yeah, you do.
for Finn.
Oh,
I hate
Finn is the
Finn
worst.
for. I've never really seen John Boyega in anything else.
He's good in Detroit, and he's good in this other one.
I'm assuming he's a good actor. He got cast in the role, and I don't want to shit on,
he has
but
jobs.
Finn is the single worst Star Wars character that's ever been put to screen ever. And I haven't seen any of the cartoon stuff, and I'm sure there's other hateable characters out there. But Finn is the worst.
Worse
and
than Jar Jar?
Yeah, so the thing
Worst-
is, I'm pretty close to
Yes,
saying that.
Because I
Yes.
I don't disagree with that.
Well, Jar Jar's character makes sense for him to be the way he is. Finn, it doesn't make sense how that character is as goofy as
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
I don't care about people being like a black stormtrooper. Like, of course there could be a black stormtrooper. Who gives a shit? The thing is,
Yeah, they're no
why
longer
would a
clones.
stormtrooper that doesn't have any like he doesn't have, a backstory or anything. He doesn't know. He's been brainwashed. He's trained to be, he works sanitation, but then he's trained to be a soldier. Why would he be as goofy as Finn is?
There's no
That
reason.
doesn't make
It's
sense.
stupid.
Yeah, the way that it's played for laughs. And I don't know what he wants.
Yeah.
Like he says what he wants. He wants to go help Ray, but Ray doesn't need your help.
Right.
Ray
Yeah.
is doing her own thing. So
Ray
and-
doesn't even really need Luke Skywalker's help.
Yeah,
she's
all you need to do is ask a few questions, and that's a big problem. Oscar Isaac as Poe.
Poe Dameron. Yeah.
Poe is a bad character also. But Poe is
He's like
given.
half
He
a
is.
bad character.
Upon rewatching, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Poe's a
Not-
bad actor or a bad character. And Oscar Isaac, I mean,
Great
Ex
actor.
Machina. He's
Inside Llewyn Davis.
Inside Llewyn Davis. He's phenomenal, and
Yeah.
he's watchable in this, but
Yeah.
that's because they don't give him much to do. So I'm going to change. I was a 5. because it's still like the goofy Marvel joke writing that they put in there.
Yeah.
At the first scene,
Right.
He rolls up and he's like, "Yeah, I'm waiting to talk to the redhead guy."
I'm going to talk about that in spectacularity. You immediately get pulled out
Yeah.
because of the
It just pulls you
goofiness
out.
of that.
No
scene.
one packed theater. He goes, "Yep, still waiting."
Yeah.
Fucking
Hi, I'm on hold
Dead,
for
dead silence.
dead
General
quiet.
Hux. Yeah. Dude.
So not funny.
We were
unbelievable.
Nick and I saw it together with our friends, and we were just. I was just trying to gauge everyone else's reaction because I was watching the whole
You
movie
were,
like,
dude.
what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
It's so funny because I
like-
remember vividly your face.
I was.
You were just looking
very
around
angry.
like, okay, no one else thinks this is funny, right?
Yeah.
Like this is bad.
What? I was just confused what was happening. We'll save that.
Benicio del Toro has a stutter.
I don't even know, but it's like a random stutter. It only is on
It's
certain
at the
words.
beginning of it's like the beginning of some
And it's
sentences.
like-
You get
Yeah, he almost is like Hannibal Lecter with his stutter.
Yeah. The chick from Game of Thrones, her character is severely underused
Gwendolyn
again.
Christie. Oh my God, that was so clearly Captain Phasma was just created to sell toys.
Yeah. So
She's
it's
the lamest character.
So it's all these actors who are either good or serviceable.
Yeah.
And then they're put into roles, and the writing is just complete trash and garbage, and it makes you not like. You're like, you will remember that, and you can't like the movie, and all of a sudden you're like, these actors are bad now. Why are they bad now?
I honestly think it's Rian Johnson's writing for a lot of it. I think, okay, so I'm going to give it a 4, just average. You know, I would want to give it lower because of certain people. I think that Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver are perfect in the new Star Wars
He's the best
movies.
part.
Adam Driver's incredible. Anyone who was talking about him being too whiny in his ending in this, where he says, hey, screw the Empire, screw the First Order, screw the Rebellion, screw the light, screw the dark. Let's just control the universe together. That's the most Sith thing that's ever happened in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I love both of them. I think they do really good jobs.
Yeah. What does he say? He says old thing. Let's let old
things die. Right.
Yeah.
And then
That's a good line.
I just have to say, for me, I fucking hate Mark Hamill as Luke. Like, I really like him in Return of the Jedi, and I think he handles it well early on. But like, there's something so naggy and annoying about Luke, and I think the problem in this movie, because I don't not like Luke. It's the problem for me in this movie is the writing for Luke, because it makes it seem like Return of the Jedi never happened. Because Luke is all of a sudden back to being the little bitch he was in Empire Strikes Back.
He's a little bitch.
And
It's
then-
like it's an unfortunate arc because you can see how he got there, but you're like, oh, don't make him go back there. Like, couldn't we just have had a little bit of Luke not being like so Lukey about things?
Yeah.
They had to figure out a way, because for Yoda it makes sense why Yoda's a recluse.
Right.
He's being hunted.
Right.
If he doesn't
but
stay
he's still
hidden,
wise.
yeah.
Yeah, he's still wise and he's been in isolation for
Yeah, he's a goofball.
Yeah.
But that's part of what else are you gonna do when you're all by yourself and you only have snakes to talk to?
Yeah.
I would say the things that really bring it down to a 4 to me, I think that Finn is one of the worst characters ever. I can't even if I named every movie, I would put him at like the very bottom in terms of characters because I hate the writing for him. But then, not only do you have annoying Finn, who somewhat gets slightly better in certain parts of The Last Jedi, but then you pair him with an even more annoying and terribly written character, Rose.
Rose is the worst.
Who is awful.
Yeah.
Like, everything she does is so incredibly bad. And then...
And I wouldn't want to harp too hard on the actress. She is, again, good.
It's the right.
playing the
They
character
give
well,
her the worst shit.
I totally agree.
And Star Wars fans go, and bully her. So it's not her.
No, it's not her. It's
it's for
honestly
sure
Rian Johnson.
the material.
I just don't. They made her too goofy and weird. Like I don't like it. And I also think I love Donald Gleason. He is awful as General Hux.
Yes.
He is so. It's like they took a really nice ginger.
I
And
see
then
what's
they
happening.
gave him eyeshadow and made him act like a comically absurd
I
villain.
see what's happening. He reminds you of a family member, doesn't he?
Myself.
He's so insecure and it's just not.
He's just
doesn't come off.
It seems like a little kid in a theater production playing a villain.
Yeah.
So that's what'd you give it, Nick?
I gave it a 5, but you guys
Okay.
are making me feel stupid.
So no, that's fine. So that's 4 from Kane and I, and 5 from Nick. Let's
guys
go
are
on
right.
to Empire Strikes Back acting.
Oh, I
Yeah,
gave.
why don't you start?
I
Okay.
gave that a. I gave it a 6 because I really like. I love Frank Oz. The sexual tension between Solo and Leia is really good. Leia is very, very, and this is a thing that I guess we'll get into later, story plot wise. But there's infighting, and you believe it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love Solo playing against Chewbacca. His relationship with Lando is great. Darth Vader is really good. Everything is great. The only person that brings it down is fucking Luke.
Yeah.
And his whiny,
It really
just
is.
listen to Yoda. You flew all the fucking way there.
I wanted to. Every time he said Dagobah, I wanted to throw
Don't
my TV. in the
go
other room.
fight Darth Vader, you idiot. You're gonna get your hand cut off.
Listen
At
to what he
least.
says.
Oh, I have a question. You know when he goes into that like place, the dark place where he like learns, he learns what the dark side of the Force is. In The Last Jedi, you also have that with Rey
Yeah.
wanting to go down that hole. Does every planet have a dark place, or was that set up as like a testing ground for darkness? Is it
yes,
set
Gabe,
up by?
every planet has a dark place. Did
Yeah,
you
I guess
not-
Las
Did
Vegas
you not
is
go
our
to science
dark
school
place here.
in
Yeah.
school, dude?
Yeah, that's true.
One of the
Dude.
Dakotas.
yeah,
Yep.
probably south.
All of Florida?
Every state has
Yeah.
at least one pit in which the dark side is revealed to you.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Valencia,
Oh God.
Bakersfield. Sorry.
Hot.
Bakersfield, California.
Bakersfield.
Yeah, that's where
Sorry
you go
to all our Bakersfield
California's
listeners.
dark hole in which you can see the dark side is in Bakersfield.
Yeah,
Mentone.
Yeah, you'll go see that your
It
family
changes every couple years.
Yeah, it
Mentone.
Yeah.
Victorville?
I think so. Nick and I think I just noticed that Nick did this, and I did the same thing. I originally had it as a 4. I'm gonna give it a 5. I do think the thing is about Star Wars, like I'm not expecting, as you said earlier, Nick, I'm not expecting like Academy Award level performances, but there is something about every Star Wars movie where the acting is just slightly off from like a good standard level. And I think some of it in Empire Strikes Back it just feels outdated in terms of the acting. I don't quite know what it is, but the thing is like Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher are so great the whole time. I mean, Carrie Fisher, whatever, in The Last Jedi, she doesn't have a lot to work with, but Harrison Ford was fantastic the whole way through Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just handles the macho, arrogant, kind of comedic character.
There's so many good lines in Empire
Oh,
Strikes
so
Back.
good.
The part where he's like, "Why
Who's scruffy? Look,
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he says like, she says, being held by you is not enough to make me excited or whatever. And he goes, well, I didn't have time for anything else.
Yeah.
And he like leaves the room. So good.
yeah.
that was good.
I mean, I originally gave it a 4. You're right. You watched me scratch it out and change it to a 5
Nice.
because I'm like, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't really think Carrie Fisher's that good in Empire Strikes Back.
Interesting.
I don't think she's that good of an actress in it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you're still compelled and you still understand, at least I did when I rewatched it, that she's very empowered in this movie.
Right.
Like she's in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you still, whatever she's doing, she gets that across.
I agree.
So it can't be that bad, but it's something about her. I'm like, she's just not that great in this, but I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, there's like kind of bad side acting, from some of the side characters. There's that one guy that's like 2 fighters against a Star Destroyer, but he says it in like a very weird, like, did you not practice this line? You have one fucking job.
Like he's reading two star up against a Star Destroyer.
He just says it in a way where his face doesn't move.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really interesting.
But you know who doesn't get enough credit?
Chewy.
No. The guys who get choked out.
Oh my God, they're both pretty good at that.
Those guys.
Apology accepted.
And those guys are really like,
They're going at it. Yeah, especially the fat guy.
Domhnall
the first
Gleeson is really good at that. I don't know what they
Oh,
did to him in The Last Jedi, but when Kylo Ren chokes him out and he's like, "Oh, hail the
I like to
Supreme Leader."
think that he like Ryan Johnson's going, "Hey Donald, open your mouth." And then he goes, "Okay," and then he throws him like a big bunch of like grapes or some like a snack sized candy bar into his mouth, and they go action. And Kylo's supposed to be choking.
Oh my God. it's so good. All right, so that is yours was a 6, right?
Yeah, I liked it. The Carrie Fisher stuff is it's not distracting enough for me to think like wow, she stinks.
ultimately I think that's why I changed it.
Yeah, and it's just Luke being
Mark
whiny.
Hamill
His
is
voice
tough,
is off and really jarring and frustrating to listen to. Like that whole sequence where he's like, he told me enough. And you're like, ugh, okay, all right.
You killed him.
Just don't do that again. And then he's like, that's not possible. You're like, God, no, stop making those noises.
Like they were like, Mark.
What do you mean, old Ben?
Leia.
I love that he keeps calling him fucking Ben. Like his name is Obi-Wan. That was a fake name.
But he's Ben to him.
He knows him as Ben.
That's
whatever.
his. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, let's move on. Let's do spectacularity next.
Whoa.
Spectacularity. We're going back to that category. Is this about the engagement of the movie? Like how engaged you were? What were you checking your phone? Were you worried about runtime?
Do you notice the runtime?
Yeah, do you notice it? Were you really into it? And you know, these are movies that we had to rewatch, so it'll be interesting. So let's start spectacularity. Since we're on Empire Strikes Back, let's do that.
Okay, I gave it a 6.
Yeah.
It's great. There's not a whole lot in it that I think took me out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my favorite Star Wars movie. I don't know that it's perfect because there are some little things that are not that take you out of it a little bit, but no, I give it a 6. What about you guys?
I give it a 6 as well. One thing I always talk about in spectacularity, because I think it is like the beat of a drum in battle, is the score. And John Williams' score in this one, it's like one of the best scores I've ever heard. It really keeps you engaged. I especially love the music when the rogue pilots are searching for Luke and Solo.
Yeah, that's really. I noticed that too.
Yeah, it doesn't sound anything like that, but it gets you really.
No,
into
it is different than the other. It's different. It's different in like it's like it feels rushed, but also very heroic.
Yeah, and like they're out adventuring to find them. And I just one scene that I think like really, I think shows how well balanced the movie is in terms of engagement level is the scene when Han, Leia, and Chewie are inside that worm, because when the bats first, the like intestinal bat shows up and like hits the Millennium Falcon. Like, I still jump when that happens, when Leia's looking out. And it's just like, you're like, what the fuck is going on? This is cool. And they're being chased at the same time by Boba and other bounty hunters. Bombs. Yeah.
The Empire's method of trying to find people in an asteroid is asinine.
Yeah, they're moronic.
You know what we're going to do? Get everyone to shoot them. Shoot all the asteroids.
Yeah, right.
Should we just shoot him or should we bomb him too? Bomb him, shoot him, everything.
Fucking flip him.
But our ammunition, bomb him.
Yeah.
I just like how they
blow it up.
But I do like that the Empire was not deterred by an asteroid field. Like Han was like, we'll go in the asteroid field. They'd be crazy to follow us. And Vader's like, we're going in there. Do not, I will choke you to death.
Yeah.
Stop making me choke all you guys. Yeah. Do what I say and get it fucking right.
I don't want to choke you, but
I'll choke you.
Okay?
Do you think I like choking you? Yeah. You just make me want to choke you. This is on you.
Yeah. Wait, what did you give Spectacular?
I gave it a 7.
Okay.
But I'm always engaged by this movie.
I agree,
and watching it again, and I've had some time away because before Disney Plus, the only other option was to buy it on YouTube. You can't even rent it. But I would say that every time I watch it, especially all the Hoth stuff, is great. And I like how the movie just starts. Yeah. The movie just, you're in it. You know, you meet the crew. They're fucking chilling in in their ski resort, and then all of a sudden there's a battle that kicks off, and then
ski resort.
and then they roll into two diverging storylines. One is a Mad Max Fury Road car chase, and then the other one is a training montage.
Yeah.
And then they all come together at Sky City, and you have to pay attention.
Right.
Really, the only lull is the worm part in the asteroid field, but it's so minute and small
it's
not that big of a deal for me to not give it a 7.
Right. I think I think that's a good point, because they do put in, the story is so well structured that there are so many different obstacles that each of the people have to run into.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that keeps you engaged, wanting to know like how they're going to get through it and what's going to happen. And then there's literally no moment where you're like, not engaged because you get all the way to the end and find out. I mean, you have to imagine like when people originally watched this in 1980, like you get to know that Darth Vader is actually Luke's father, and that just is like, what? I want more of this right now, and then they had to wait 3 years. Okay, so let's move on quickly to spectacularity for The Last Jedi.
Okay.
So, Kane, since you were already talking, let's hear what you have to say about that.
I gave spectacularity a 6 because it's still that's way too high.
What are you talking about?
A 5.
Get out of your house.
Sorry, 5. I gave it a 6 initially because I was just looking at the idea of spectacular. Like there's like spectacular things,
Right.
Oh,
But,
yeah. But that's
then-
what we're talking about in eye candy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I messed those up. So 5.
Okay,
The
that's
reason
still
it's a
above
5
average.
is because there's still some great, this scene with Rey and Kylo when they fight off those
The throne
guards.
room, yeah.
Throne room is cool and striking, and it's really the only point. As I keep thinking about it, I'm gonna give it a 1.
Whoa. Okay, wait, hold on.
I'm giving
You
it a
just went
1.
from a 6 to a 5 to a 1.
Yeah. So the reason I give it a 1 because the more I think about it, I don't like this movie at all,
No,
and I
The
don't
Last
like
Jedi
it.
is
I don't
not
like
very
it
good.
for
It was a tough rewatch.
not just a Star Wars movie. I don't like it as a movie. The decisions that every character, like in Empire Strikes Back, there's a lot of infighting, but they're still working together.
Yeah.
There's infighting between Yoda and Luke, but they're working for the same goal.
Right.
Everyone has the same goals.
Yeah.
There's infighting with the Empire. Darth, again, he's choking out all these dudes because they don't seem to be doing the things that he's asking for. But at least they're all trying to get to one single goal.
Right.
And some fail, some whatever. In this movie, I have no fucking idea what people want. I don't know what the big boss man wants. I don't know what Kylo wants. I don't know what Rey wants. I don't know. Nobody is, and then no one's working together. There's infighting between Rey and Luke, but they don't. There's nothing. There's no fucking thing they're getting to.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I gave it a 4 just because it's a Star Wars movie. So all of the I really want it to. I really want to know what's going on. But you brought up a great point that I wrote down when I rewatched it. There's a space mutiny in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poe orchestrates a mutiny.
Yeah.
It is the lamest, shortest lived mutiny ever.
Yeah.
Could have been, the word space mutiny makes me salivate. Space mutiny
but fucking
could be the coolest
Moon
thing ever.
Pirates
And it doesn't,
doesn't?
nothing happens. Dude, shut up about your damn moon
Yeah,
pirates.
we get it. Your pro Ad Astra
Right, we'll
agenda
move on.
has been duly noted.
This is a thread through 2 different podcasts and episodes. Okay.
Hate
But
both of
seriously, there's a space mutiny that could have been the coolest thing, and it wasn't. And
Right.
that's so sad to me that a space mutiny in Star Wars makes me salivate, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a moot point in the movie, and it's
Yeah.
like, dude, really, you squandered a space mutiny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down a lot to say. I'm just going to kind of shorten it. I'm giving it a 3, so slightly below average. I do agree with the Star Wars aspect of it, gets me
Yeah.
in, and I really do like the throne room scene. I was like just very engaged during that. I like anything with Kylo Ren, to be honest, and Rey as a character. But the thing that takes me out engagement-wise, that really bothers me about this, is the comedy.
Yeah, totally.
I went into this movie hyping it beyond. I used to hype. I hyped Force Awakens way too much before, and then I did it with this. I hyped this so much because it was Rian Johnson writing and directing it. Rian Johnson, who's made Looper, Brick, the best TV episode of all time, Ozymandias. And The Fly, and like great episodes of Breaking Bad, but they're always dark. They're very dark things. There's no humor or anything. And so I went in being like, wow, this is going to be like Empire Strikes Back. It's going to be the dark middle chapter.
called The
in
Last
The
Jedi,
Last Jedi. Like, they have everything in the trailers dark. You watch the movie, first scene, there's the comedic, like, almost prank call that Poe Dameron does.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, there's a guy who literally says, I believe he's tooling with you, sir. Is this Star Wars? Who the fuck says tooling?
Yeah, jerky.
Yeah, I think he's, sir, I think he's trolling you. I think that he's a MAGA dude. No, and then there's like every Star Wars has always had like really corny humor, but not like absurd, almost parody type humor.
totally,
like,
yeah.
There's the one moment that I really hate is when Luke is training Rey and he says, reach out. And she literally reaches out. And then he's like, do you feel it? Do you feel it?
Oh my God. That
And he's
scene
like
is so
showing her,
annoying.
he's like putting a branch between, he's like, it's a force. She's like, oh my God, I feel it. And then I was like, why? Who allowed this to keep going? The stuff with the caretakers. The caretakers on the island are like, they look like they're in the movie Your Highness with James Franco and Danny McBride. They look like these horrible creatures.
It's very Monty Python.
And there's the moment where there's a really, really cool moment where Rey is training with a lightsaber on the rock. And Luke is like really impressed with her powers, and then she overdoes it and slices this rock off, and the rock tumbles down the mountain, and then they decide to turn that into a comedic moment where it knocks the cart out of one of the caretakers.
Right. And you don't care about the caretakers already, and you think you think as you're watching the movie, oh, so Rey keeps fucking some shit up. She blows a hole in the wall, and she lands on some shit, and it's all fucked up. And so then she does this cool moment where she is in control and out of control, and then it turns it into she keeps messing with these alien nuns.
Right. And they're like, oh, they don't like me. Yeah, it feels like a sitcom. That's such a good point.
Silly.
I have to say, even though I timed it this time, even though everything on Canto Bight actually happens for 18 minutes of it. Oh, I do need to say that this is a 2.5 hour movie, and it fucking feels like it.
Yeah.
But everything on Canto Bight, even though it's 18 minutes, feels like it's the whole movie. It's terrible. The whole escape.
I hate Canto Bight.
I hate
so
it
much.
The whole escape on those like horse. By the way, they freed all of the like enslaved horse things, but they didn't free the enslaved children.
Okay, so here's the thing: they kind of free them.
Well, they're just on one part of the island.
But they also, unless I don't know, they're alien like goat, llama, horse, reptiles, or whatever the hell they are. They free them, but those things plow through multiple panes of glass, entire walls, an entire building.
Yeah.
Like they all must leave there just bloody and broken.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you like released a bunch of scared animals.
After I watch it,
And they all just they all just bash themselves through the wall, probably because the scene sucks and that's the only thing you do is bash your head through a wall.
Yeah.
Unbelievably stupid. It reminds me of the prequels. A lot of the like dumb scenes in the prequels. I just like the thing that really bothers me is that there's nothing important happens in there. The only important revelation you get is that these rich asshole people are selling ships to both the rebels and to the Empire and the First Order. Yeah. And you don't even find that out until after they leave. So why the fuck were they ever in Canto Bight? I hate it. I hate the whole scene with Maz like on the little teleprompter doing the video. She's like, I'll have to, don't do that. Just have her talk to us.
She FaceTimes with them real quick.
She's like, FaceTime. How the fuck is she FaceTiming and flipping through like rooms? We gotta move on. I'm gonna lose my mind.
We could spend all day talking about this movie.
So that's 1 from Kane and 4 from Nick.
Is that the first ever 1 anyone's given on this show? By anyone,
no, I gave
you
it
or me
1.
or Kane.
No, you gave it 1 to Suicide Squad for something.
Totally.
Yeah, I think it was eye candy.
Because that movie's a heaping pile of garbage.
Okay, let's move on to originality since we're on The Last Jedi. I think this could be a pretty quick one. I wrote down a lot, but I'm just going to ignore it.
I think I also gave this one. I gave it a 1 also.
Oh, wow.
The reason being is because it so badly doesn't want to be Empire Strikes Back, and it doesn't want to be Return of the Jedi. It doesn't want to be anything that you think is going to happen. So then it writes itself into a corner where it tells you a bunch of things and then doesn't reveal any of it to be at all necessary throughout the entirety of the not just the Canto Bight scene. That entire does anybody actually get the feeling that Rey learned anything from Luke?
No.
Luke taught her fucking nothing. He sat there and he pouted, and then she left. And the reason she left is because she thought, and like we all thought, it was going to be her and Kylo. Kylo was going to come on her side.
Right.
And it felt like that was going to happen. And there was this moment where, and now what would have switched it, and I probably would have loved the movie, is if Kylo said, you come with me and we'll rule the galaxy together. And she did. Yeah. Change the game. Completely different movie.
That's what he should have done.
Yes. Yeah. I thought that was, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But she doesn't do that.
I was trying to say.
She does and this movie is trying to pride itself on being something that, hey, we're subverting your expectations. And then it doesn't do that with Rey. It actually does what we expect her to do. We expect her to be the good guy, and then she does the good guy thing.
Yeah.
And then it leads to an ending where a bunch of people have died.
Yeah.
A lot of
So
people
many.
have died, and they're all on the Millennium Falcon laughing and nudging each other. Oh, what a weird day we had.
Yeah. There's a scene where where Leia is like, someone says to her, "Oh, we're taking heavy casualties," and she just looks sad-ish for a second, and it's like, dude, the whole movie is heavy casualties.
It's
Yeah.
like they
The
go
rebel-
from like a
the
rebel,
rebels-
like a big rebel army to like 10 people.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, we're taking heavy casualties. I just wanted to be like, yeah, no shit, we're taking heavy
Yeah.
casualties. We've been doing that since 2 hours and 15 minutes ago. Like,
Yeah, they try to get to the base,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rebel base, and no one's there.
Point that they say that way too late in the movie.
Yeah, we're taking. It's like when
Done
someone,
it.
like a couple guys on the like speeders on the salt planet,
Yeah.
get hit, and so they're like, we're taking heavy casualties. It's like there's 16 of them.
Right.
Totally agree.
What are you talking about?
Oh,
Heavy casualties.
God, the salt thing. Salt
Yeah.
thing is the exact same thing as the mirror snappy.
Yeah.
Who's Rey's parents? It's
That
the
was
same.
kinda
yeah.
cool
It's
visually,
so
but it's like
yeah.
yeah.
It's also so heavy-handed.
Yeah.
It's like we're salting we're salting the earth of your expectations.
Oh,
that's what
that.
it was.
Damn.
Look it
dude.
up. I'm
Damn.
not. That's not like a thing I noticed where like, I wonder. I read that.
Oh, dude, really?
He did that on purpose.
See,
See,
and
'cause for
that's-
me-
and he's good with that. Like the
Yeah.
episode "The Fly" of Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
he's really good at
Yeah.
symbology.
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 I Wumbo.
You
Wumbo. Hey, we made up acting and spectacular.
That's true. That's true.
Can that be a new?
I gave-
What did you
category?
give it?
I gave it a 3 in originality,
Yeah.
and I wrote down here Salt Planet. Did they run out of other shit to put on the planet? Because they have all the other planets. I feel like at this point, and they're just like someone in a boardroom was fucking
Yeah.
salt, and everyone was like, yeah. I mean,
Salt Planet.
Salt is like Hoth, but not snow.
Right.
And
Yeah.
someone's like, yeah, okay, and it's kind of just Empire in reverse.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
there's a white planet and a heavily fortified base that they need to escape from while they're walkers, and then it just kind of goes in reverse.
You know what else it is? It's like Mad Max Fury Road, but slowed way the fuck down.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
And
the
there's-
longest chase in the world.
Yeah, there is one scene that I think is original. I should have put it in eye candy too. That I think is maybe one of the best parts of the movie is the hyperdrive through the Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
through
cool
the-
thing. I don't
awesome.
like anyone that is like, what? How could that happen? It's like, dude, this is
Shut
Star
up.
Wars.
Shut up. Things explode in space. It's
Yeah.
literally not possible
Yeah.
for there to be fire in space.
That was a really smart thing. I think that was really clever of him to put that in there. I also gave it a 3. I know we
It's
always
just not-
agree on this shit, but I just think that ultimately everything about this movie just feels like it's out of place. This is a movie that's supposed to be in the middle of a trilogy, and everything is taken out of that trilogy. It just feels, that's fine. Make an offshoot movie. I know he's about to, he had that deal that he was going to do with 3 other movies. I don't know who the fuck allowed that to happen, but I respect the idea of like separating it and taking it in new directions, but not when it exists in the middle of a saga. And also the new directions that he took it didn't even work. He wrote himself into corners, as you guys said. He, I think like if anything, if he had made it dark, it would have been perfect, but instead he abandoned that to just try out stupid humor for the first time, make a fairly foolish storyline that doesn't make much sense, and then take really dumb narrative risks that don't work. One of them being, why the fuck did he have... I know that they had already filmed stuff with Carrie Fisher for afterwards. Just kill her. She's dead. Carrie Fisher, rest in peace.
kill her.
You were an amazing person. You died. Leia should die. There's a really beautiful moment where Ben Solo, Kylo, decides not to kill her, and then she
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah.
Or she looks like she dies, and she's floating in space, and it's this beautiful, like, visual send-off for a great character.
Yeah.
And instead, they Mary Poppins her back to the ship. And when that was happening, I was like, who allowed this to keep going past the writer's room? And then... like, this chick is old as hell, and she just suddenly figures out how to use the Force. Why the fuck? No.
She's force sensitive in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, she's force sensitive. She's
she
not
doesn't-
using
yeah, she
it
doesn't
to
have telekinesis.
survive space. And then I don't even know how you could use the force. I don't know. Also, another thing is you could have killed off Finn. One of the worst characters. He has this moment where he's going to be a hero. He's stubborn and he's like, no, I'm going to save the day and go into the battering ram. He goes right in. He's about to hit it. And then Rose comes out of nowhere, hits him with her ship, which could kill both of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it was in there. And then she says, she saved him, and that's how they would win, because you're fighting for what they love. You know how else you win? By stopping the First Order, which you would have been able to do with the battering ram. They wouldn't have had to escape using Rey's like perfect force.
Yeah, what was her follow-up option there?
I don't know.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're gonna save the guy you hate because now you're in love.
Yeah, she doesn't hate Finn.
Yeah, she did.
Well, she was mad at him. She doesn't hate him.
You would if you.
Well, she saves him, but what does she like? She saves him from harming himself, so that they potentially just could get stepped on by by an AT-AT or whatever.
I just like the writing of this movie. I just think is unoriginal. I think that he did take cool risks, narrative risks, and I respect that. But I think that ultimately he just abandoned a lot of the dark risks he could have taken to make a goofy, nonsensical movie that now J.J. Abrams has to like scramble to fix.
Yeah, a lot of toys though.
Yeah, a lot of toys. Okay,
toys.
so that's a 1 from Kane and 3's from Nick and I. Let's talk about originality quickly about The Empire Strikes Back.
That one gets a hard sace from me. A 6.
6. Okay, interesting.
Original 7.
I'm a 7 as well.
Yeah, 7.
Oh wait, no, actually 6.
Oh,
I don't know.
We really.
Oh, you know what it is?
What?
I didn't write it down. I think it was that it is really original. I kind of wanted to give it a 7. The thing is that I think A New Hope is like a 7 because we really just never had something like Star Wars, and then we had that out of nowhere. Whereas I think Empire Strikes Back like has to use a lot of A New Hope to push forward as a story, and I think that's why I put it down.
I think it's a 7 because it takes what we already know, but you can watch Empire Strikes Back on its own. You don't need A New Hope because it gives you an idea of the world without having to actually tell you the events of the first place. Like they don't reference the Death Star, they don't reference Tatooine.
But they do reference Obi-Wan Kenobi,
but Obi-Wan's there. But Obi-Wan is there. They do reference. Darth Vader says it to Luke. When he says that, you can be struck down or whatever, and be defeated like I did with Obi-Wan.
Okay,
so you
fair.
can just, through context of dialogue, you can. So it doesn't need A New Hope to be a good movie because on its own, you find out that these characters live in this world. You're launched into it, and you just have to keep up, and you have to be, you have to just watch the visuals and hear what they're saying to get the context from previous lore. Same way you do in A New Hope. They talk about the Clone Wars. They talk about Anakin Skywalker, the Force, all these things that we are just jumped into. And that's why I think it has a 7, because not only does it doesn't need A New Hope, but also broadens the world. It shows you new landscapes. It shows you bounty hunters. It shows you the costumes designed for the Empire are much more striking. The stormtroopers still exist, but there's other forms.
Lando, you have
Lando's great, and that whole the hierarchy of the city and how a Cloud City exists.
Yeah, it's like a gaseous planet or whatever they say.
It sets up
they talk
questions
a little bit about like where she says like, oh, you have a mining operation. He's like, no, it's actually like small enough that nobody even notices us out here or whatever.
Yeah. I also just think the father-son storyline is just it has been done by everyone. It's not like the most original thing, but it was like no one had a twist like that in a movie.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The fucking twist.
And
that was
it's a cliffhanger too.
That was the most talked about thing of that era was the fact that Darth Vader was Luke's father. Yeah. That has never been done before. And it was such a monumental moment that they had to follow it up with Jedi. By making there is no way that Leia and Luke are brother and sister. There's no way.
I was saying that to Nick on the way over here. I don't know if when they made The Empire Strikes Back, if they knew that they were brother and sister.
No, they were not brother and sister.
There's some weird Force connection, but I think it's more that Luke reaches out to her specifically. So maybe she's not, like you said, she's Force sensitive, but like maybe she wasn't really. Maybe Luke was the one reaching out to her.
What a weird ass fucking love triangle that if George was like, yeah, they're brother and sister the whole time,
they probably
then you're like,
wouldn't have
then
put
you're a
that
fucking
kiss
weirdo.
Yeah, I agree.
Why do that?
Nick, why did you give it a 6 instead of a 7?
I don't know. I'm just gonna change it to a 7.
Okay. I'm holding down the
Changing
6.
minds,
I
Gabe.
like what you said.
Uh-huh.
I just think that something like A New Hope is just more original to me. It's just like they just created this out of nowhere. But
You would.
I'm like so close to a 7. I'm
No,
gonna be as stubborn
It
as
was
Luke.
the in isolation argument that you made. That you get it could exist in isolation. You don't have to watch the other movies.
You know what? I'm going with a 7.
Yes.
Thank you, Kane.
That's what I do. I change hearts and minds.
Yeah.
Get my CD. Can't see straight.
Well, okay,
and the
so-
other thing is, it's original in that I feel like The Last Jedi just copies so much of Empire.
I do agree with
sure.
that,
It's
and
just
I
like-
think that there are a lot of things that would copy certain things from Empire.
Because it makes sense. You want to copy things from Empire. It's
I agree.
copyable.
And also,
Yeah.
Good
it
ideas.
copies Return of the Jedi. It's really heavily copies Return.
Yeah, it definitely does. Okay, so that is a 7 all around for that. Let's finish this off with legacy. I think this could be a pretty quick thing.
Sure.
What's the legacy for Empire Strikes Back, Nick?
So the legacy for Empire Strikes Back is
Is it going to be? Has this movie been talked about? Will it be talked about? Does it stand out in the history of movies?
it's got one of the most famous lines in cinema history.
Yeah.
I am your father.
One of the most misquoted
that I just
lines.
butchered at the beginning of this.
Well, one of the most misquoted lines ever.
Yeah.
Because people think it's Luke, I am your father, but it's no, I am your father.
Yeah.
Even in Tommy Boy, he fucks it up.
Oh, it's like one of your favorite movies, isn't it?
I love Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy is good. Your head's got the shell on.
So I gave it a 7 in
yeah.
in Legacy. I don't see why.
What did you give?
a 7.
Yeah, I gave it a 7 too.
But it's
pretty quick.
And
to-
the other thing too about it is somebody did this about Halloween 2.
Yeah.
They made a video on YouTube about how Halloween 2 did something to the franchise and they really royally fucked it by making Michael and Laurie brother and sister. You fuck the world
What?
because then it makes it seem like only Michael wants to kill his family members
Yeah.
instead of just being this entity. And I think Empire did the same thing in a much better way, where it presents a twist and it's so monumental it blows everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And now Star Wars has to live up to that.
Yeah.
It has to live up to those moments.
It
and that's why Empire is
It defines the whole
yes.
saga because now you have this. It's the Skywalker saga.
Right, and so that's
After
why
this movie.
they make Leia sister, because then they think to themselves there has to be like this royal bloodline
Right.
that only these Skywalkers and then these offshoots like Obi-Wan and Yoda can be Jedi, which is why then they do that bullshit to Rey. They set up questions about who's Rey's parents in Force Awakens, and then they don't have an answer, so they just don't answer it. In fact, they
say that
give you an
they do answer, but I don't even know if it's true.
It's
and, like,
ridiculous, and
it's
it's
ridiculous.
and
They're junk
stupid.
people. They junked you. Sold you for junk. Yeah, it's all
They sold
junk.
you for junk.
Junk.
The way he says it, it's like so like matter of fact.
Yeah, he's just like you're junk.
Yeah.
They junked you.
And Empire fucked the rest of the franchise with that twist.
I
That's
agree.
true.
I think like that's the lasting legacy is just how iconic that cliffhanger was at the end. And Nick is right. Like one of the most famous lines and quoted lines ever. You know, for me, it's a 7 because there are certain scenes that just will always be in my mind. You know, it's considered one of the best movies ever made because of how original and like creative and fun it is. But like, I will always think about the Hoth battle.
Yeah.
Like it just stays in my mind. It's so cool. And for me, I've had dreams where I'm like Luke and I'm training with a Yoda on my back, like flipping through trees. And dude, I want that. I'm also like obsessed with telekinesis, so it would be awesome to have the
that'd be
Force.
dope.
It's a good power.
So that's a 7 from both of us. Let's finish it off with Last Jedi Legacy.
What did you give it?
I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 3.
What did you give it?
A 7.
No, are you joking?
No, for real. I have my reasons.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, I'll quickly just say, yeah, I think that it's just the most. The thing is, it's the most divisive Star Wars movie ever. There are a lot of people that will defend it. I'm sure that we have listeners that actually really love The Last Jedi, and they're confused why people hate it. So it's always going to be part of a conversation.
Yeah.
And certain things that he took, like narrative risks that he took, are going to live on now because they have to. And J.J. Abrams has to keep some of those unless he wants his to like erase this. So it's not really going to be erased. I mean, it's just not that good, and it's easy to forget, and it's really hateable, but it's not like... It just has to exist forever. And I think, if anything, I just saw on Twitter recently that the conversation came back. Like, people were like, why don't people like The Last Jedi? And other people were like, hey, today is a really perfect opportunity to remind you guys that Last Jedi is a hunk of shit. And I love that person, whoever that is. It just was like... Also, it has that ending where it's like it's supposed to be Luke Skywalker's legacy. That's why the next movie is called The Rise of Skywalker for whatever fucking reason. And it has that moment at the end where he's like inspired people, and there's like that kid picks up the broomstick and has a Jedi ring. I don't know where the hell he got that. Maybe he was one of the Academy people for.
No, it's the Rebel ring. She leaves it for him.
Oh, right. She leaves it. And so there's like hope for that.
Face?
It just felt like an Oliver Twist type ending, and I was like, fuck this movie.
Is it because of the orphans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything you said is why I gave it a 7, because it
has to exist.
It has to exist. It's always going to be talked about. It'll be talked about in the same way Empire is talked about, only in reverse, and that's how the movie itself is presented. It's Empire in reverse, like how Nick said. And people will say how great Empire Strikes Back is. It's their favorite Star Wars movie. And then on the flip side, The Last Jedi is the worst. And even if you like it, because there are some, I like fucking Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is bad. Revenge of the Sith is so terrible.
You're either with me or you're my enemy.
But it's so fun to watch.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
So if you think... I used to
quote that with my roommates. My first year in Boston, we would shout at the top of our lungs all the lines from that, but like in ridiculous ways.
You mean the way that they do it?
Only a Sith deals in absolutes, Anakin. You turned her against me. Dude.
God, he's the best.
Okay.
Hayden Christensen is the best.
Yeah.
So The Last Jedi will have its fans, but it's split down the middle.
Yeah.
Critics think it's one of the greatest Star Wars movies to ever be told in the history of time and space. And Star Wars fans hate it because it ruins their childhood. And regular people either like it because it was fun to look at, or they hate it because the narrative doesn't make any sense. And I'm in that camp of like, as a Star Wars fan, it's trash. But is it trash enough to hate it and lump it into some of the worst Star Wars movies of all time? No, I don't think it hurt. I don't think it kills my enjoyment of Star Wars.
Totally.
As a movie fan, it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's just a bad movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, and it tries too hard not to be something.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to be something. So the legacy will live on. People will constantly be talking about it. It's a fucking 7. It ain't going anywhere.
Do you have any final points, Nick, before we wrap this up? Thank you, Kane.
Porgs are really cute.
Porgs are cute.
Porgs are
they are
super
cute, but like
fucking cute.
I guess those will exist forever. Whatever.
Dude, porgs are good.
You know who's cuter? Little baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Baby
is pretty
Yoda.
cute.
Little baby
Well,
Yoda.
that's a spoiler. We won't tell you what it's a spoiler of, though. There you go. Well, let's wrap it up. Let's add it up. Do you guys know what your total score is?
I didn't
for
do
each
the.
of these?
I didn't do the.
I can
adding.
math.
Okay.
My for LJ, The Last Jedi, my scores add up to a 21, and for ESB, The Empire Strikes Back,
Nice.
it adds up to a 31.
Yeah, I'm a 30 out of 35 for Empire. Probably would give it like a 95 out of 100 if I had to
Right.
rate it. And then The Last Jedi, slightly below you. I'm 19 out of 35. I really hate the movie, but like I have to give it credit where credit's due. And I think Kane made a lot of points that could have maybe made it a higher score. But yeah, what did you give it, Kane?
Well, The Empire Strikes Back is a 34.
Out of 35.
A hot 34.
Wow, that's impressive. I don't think we've ever had that.
I love it.
That's incredible.
And The Last Jedi gets a hot 19.
19, both of
Yeah.
us. Nice. And Nick with a 21, so very close.
It's because of the porgs.
Let's
Those fucking
we're
adorable ass
We've been
porgs.
going for a while, but let's very quickly talk about your MVP for both these movies.
Oh, by the way, they add up to the total for Empire's 95 from the three of us.
Okay, out of
105.
yeah, that's good.
And
That's great.
It's 52 for
52
Last Jedi.
out of 105.
Yeah.
Fuck that movie.
Haha. burn.
Do you guys have like an MVP of both of the movies?
porgs.
Like who won them?
Next.
Okay. I think Boba technically is the MVP because he's in 8 minutes of The Empire Strikes Back. No, he's in like 3 minutes of The Empire Strikes Back. And now there's a show like based off of people's obsession with him as a Mandalorian.
It's so funny. His like jetpack backpack in Empire looks so shitty.
It does
look
When
bad.
you watch it, it looks
He's a
really
dirty,
bad.
dirty bounty hunter.
I would say Vader is my MVP.
Boom,
He's
yeah.
he's pretty.
Such a good villain.
He's so fucking great, and he's so just devious and shitty.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
really comes through in this movie.
Oh, he's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then the MVP is Kylo for Last Jedi.
Yeah.
He's really good. Even
Yeah,
with
he's
his
great.
I
shirt
think
off
he's
and his
really
big
great.
nipples.
He's a hunk, dude.
Yeah.
Do you guys have an LVP for either of these?
Reptile
Finn.
nipples.
Finn.
Ryan Johnson.
Finn.
Ryan Johnson ruined something that was like amazing to me. Like my most hyped movie franchise type thing. Every time a Star Wars trailer came out, I even did a reenactment of the first trailer. It's ridiculous. I have to show you it. It's so dumb.
You can't see much in it. It's very dark.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson ruined that for me. And, like I'm obviously excited for the Rise of Skywalker, but I'm not even hyping it anymore because I'm so mad at the stuff he did. with
Yeah,
The
I
Last
don't
Jedi.
expect much from it.
I don't either.
I don't really care that much. I hope it's good, but I don't give a fuck. I just hope it's good. I hope it does something fun. I'm going in with the absolute lowest expectations.
That's a
'Cause I don't
smart
really,
idea.
Yeah, that's
I don't
probably
care about
satisfied.
Force either. I don't care about Force Awakens.
Would you stay in the light or go to the dark side?
Dark side.
Same. You have so many more powers.
You have so many more options.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plus
I
the
feel like you
girls.
could access. I feel like you could access cool powers on the light side, though. Like, why
No,
can't they
not
shoot
all
lightning?
of them?
Is
Because they
lightning
can't.
dark side exclusive?
Yeah.
I think so, and it's also like
But
the
why?
Darths can't even do it. Only the Emperor and the Supreme Leader can do it.
The light side shoots snow, but it's like that
Yeah,
where you can
snowflakes.
see each individual snowflake.
confetti.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Okay, well, we actually already kind of answered this. You have like a best scene? You like favorite scene?
My favorite scene is for Empire. I would guess is the battle of. Actually, you know what? The Vader Luke saber fight
Oh,
is
yeah.
boss. And
So
Yeah, it's
Cool.
actually really pretty good.
It holds
Yeah.
up
It
well,
holds up
actually, because
better than I remember.
The Obi-Wan one does not hold.
No.
He like poked it. Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan doesn't look as though he really remembers.
Yeah.
I really like the way that Kylo Ren holds his lightsaber, his like style, because every
Yep.
Star Wars character kind of has their own style after every like lightsaber user. After Empire, he's got his own little style where he like points the point of the saber at the. It's cool.
oh yeah,
That's very cool. The throne room scene is my MVP scene.
Oh, it's
or
so
my favorite
cool. It's
scene.
one of my favorite Star Wars scenes.
a
Although
great-
when you rewatch it, it's like those guys they looked cool, but they barely put up a fight. There's only one moment where Kylo looks like he's about
But they
to
do
die.
that cool like
When he,
thing where they're
Yeah, where he's like
they're
roping
very
him in.
forearm heavy. Their fighting style is very like Bash Brothers.
I guess we don't
heavy.
really
Mark
need to
McGuire.
do worst scene because I think we all mentioned like the scenes that we hated. I do want to point out that the BB-8 inside of ATST or whatever, the chicken walker.
It's called an ATST.
I know,
Armed,
but the chicken walkers.
all-terrain
Is
small
so
transport.
dumb. He's like the biggest hero in it, and he's a fucking robot. Like
I would say Phasma Finn fight.
Oh my
is
God.
garbage.
when
Yeah.
when Finn's like, "Let's go, Chrome Dome," and then
God.
I was like, "How did that get past the writing room?" And then when he's standing above her and he just goes, "Hey," and then like knocks her in the face, dude.
And then she fell into the fire, and then you think to yourself, okay, so she's dead, right? She's dead forever.
Yeah.
If I see Captain Phasma in the next one, then I'm out.
She'll
already
be
gonna
back,
out.
but I think it's her left eye will
You
be
were
burnt.
always scum. Rebel scum.
Oh my god, that line is so bad. Oh, dude.
Tee-hee.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky. Dude, that movie is so poorly written. All right, so we're closing out on that. Thank you guys for talking about those episodes. Very nerdy episode, and you actually got some of my anger out, so this is good. We were just on Well Actually, which is a podcast for nerds who think that they know everything.
And everybody. Yeah. It's one of those that walks down the street like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3.
Yep.
It's just pointing at different people.
And he does the little spin in the jazz club. So that show is hosted by Kane Holloway and Holly Annabelle Brown, two great comedians in the area.
Yeah.
I've been on it. We just had Nick on it as the expert for Back to the Future. So if you want to go listen to
Mildly
that,
disappointed
you should.
with my score.
Yeah,
I
he
will
did
never
well.
live this
But you guys should go and subscribe to their podcast, leave them a rate and a review. Tell your friends about it. It's really good, especially if you like nerding out on certain things.
Yeah.
And they, it's not specific to anything. You guys did like a Smashing Pumpkins episode, which is like I couldn't name you one song by Smashing Pumpkins.
But we did change some hearts and minds in that episode.
I did listen to them a little bit afterwards.
There's that acoustic cover Billy Corgan does on the streets of New York that I showed you. It's actually
that's
really
right.
annoying upon a rewatch.
That's true.
It's AC/DC.
So go. It's your Instagram. It's at Well Actually Pod.
Well Actually Pod, yeah.
And Kane Holloway is at Kane Holloway. He has a Kane _ Holloway.
No. KaneHolloway. That's how you spell my name, Kane Holloway. Most people spell it with a C. Some people spell Holloway HA. It's KaneHolloway, all one word, at Instagram.
Yeah, and you should check out his comedy album. It's on Spotify right now.
Called Can't See Straight.
Can't See Straight.
Named after
I
my
was
dad.
there. It was very, very funny.
Thank you.
There was one part that made me almost spit up my drink. But and we would love to have Kane on future episodes. You guys should let us know what you gave for ratings for this one. Send me an email. I honestly send an email to facingoffpodcast@gmail.com. I read all the emails. You could say whatever you want and just let us know what you think about these movies, especially if you really like The Last Jedi and you think that we unfairly rated it. And you can follow us on Instagram. We're Instagram.com/facingoffpod. We're on Twitter as well. If you have a Twitter, it's at facingoffpod. Our next week's episode is going to be A Quiet Place versus Bird Box.
Ooh.
I like to call it Turd Box.
Finally.
Yeah, we're actually going to do that next
Are we going
week.
to rewatch Bird Box together? Can we watch it together?
Yeah, we have to.
Good. I don't want to do that by myself.
I'm going to watch Bird Box just because I've never seen it, so I can enjoy.
Oh, that's right. You had only seen part of it.
No, I haven't seen any of it. I was going to watch it, and then you came on and you were like, it's garbage.
It's so bad.
And so I just thought I'd listen to Gabe yell about it instead.
It's like half of my life.
Go and watch those. We got a lot of good episodes coming up, and we're going to have Kane on again, and we have some other guests that will be coming on soon. Nick, any lasting thoughts or a send-off?
I'm going to send it off. Oh, man. I just want to say again, I know I've talked a lot about it, but just don't have any more movies with reptile nipples. No more green milk. Star Wars.
Sea lion reptiles.
Like, if you're listening to this, whoever has, I know it's already been made, but just no more.
Yeah.
No more nipples.
No more.
Kane, you got a send-off?
Yeah.
Like a quote or something from
I
this?
do.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Guys, there is no try. Only
do.
Oh, shit.
Only oh shit.
Only oh shit. Yeah. There is no try. Only fuck. I dropped my phone in the swamp.
Yep. And I'm going to leave you guys with my impression of Luke's Aunt Beru. Luke.
What? I was gonna go.
But I was gonna go to the Tashi station to pick up power converters.